So let's talk about a simple scalp trading strategy, one that I have been implementing into my trading and has been working really well. It's focusing on those big blue chip stocks, stocks like Tesla, Nvidia, Microsoft, Alibaba, and I like using the VWAP. That indicator I'm noticing can be very powerful when used correctly. And the one way that I like to use it is reversals. So if there's a stock that kind of trades below VWAP and then has a push through it to the upside, that's going to be an area of interest, and then vice versa. If a stock has a big push above it and then it starts to go reverse and it starts to come back towards VWAP to the downside, that can be a good spot as well. But obviously, I don't want to just go long at VWAP or short at VWAP simply just because a stock gets there. There are certain factors that I'm looking for prior to even watching that stock. So similar to how I've always been trading, I want there to be news on that stock. So if it has individual news that detaches from the market, then that's going to be a stock that's in play. So that's going to be one that I'm watching and really focusing on that VWAP reversal. So news is going to be one factor, and then also the daily chart. Is there a technical formation? Is it forming a bull flag, a bear flag, a resistance break, a support break? Is it making a new all-time high or a new all-time low? Still doing the top-down approach. What is the stock doing on the daily chart? Is it strong? Is it weak? Is it trending up? Is it trending down? Or is it going sideways? And is it going to break out of that sideways consolidation? And then adding to that checklist, is there news on this name? Because the reason why I like to focus on stocks that have news is because there's the potential for elevated volume. And I like elevated volume because that's when stocks typically listen to the rules a little bit better. So that's when I think this VWAP reversal and this simple scalping strategy works best, when all of those other factors line up. If I were to just go trade any random stock and try to trade this, of course it's going to have its wins, but I feel like the probability is not going to be as good. When all the other things line up and all those factors in the boxes are checked, that's when I feel like this works its best. And that goes with any strategy. The more things that you have line up, that's when the probability is going to be at its best. So that's why trading can be tough, because there's a lot of stocks that are moving and it's easy to watch stocks that aren't in play. And then you see patterns, or you try to do a VWAP reversal like I'm going to show here, and they just don't work as well. So making sure that I have that checklist and the stock that I'm watching meets that criteria before I even consider trading it is what really helps my trading. So with all that being said, let's go into a good example. So today's April 17th, it's Monday, and I ended up taking a trade on Microsoft because Microsoft had some news pre-market that was tied to AI. I feel like artificial intelligence is the big thing now. Whenever there's stocks that's mentioned, they can have big moves, kind of elevated volatility, elevated volume. And this was it right here. So Google reportedly goes into panic as Samsung considers Microsoft's Bing AI for default search engine. We'll start with the daily chart first. Top-down approach. The daily chart, it's very strong. It's also kind of forming this flag pattern. It's been holding this 285 above the 20 SMA, above the 9 EMA. It's been trending to the upside. The overall market has been trending up as well. Had a gap up in the pre-market, was getting above this 290 resistance, and then also knowing that the prior high was 292.08. So if it can clear out all those levels to the upside and remain strong, then maybe this could catch some upside momentum today. But nothing has to happen. So now just realizing that I'm going to use VWAP as an indicator to try to get a good entry around. Now, being that the chart is strong to the upside and we're getting the gap up, I'm going to be leaning a little bit more to the upside because that's the path of least resistance. So what happened off the open? So we opened, kind of touched VWAP, and then we consolidated below it. So this is what I like. I like when there is a strong stock, has some consolidation below VWAP, and then really what I'm waiting for is some sort of squeeze candle, showing that those buyers have stepped up and then it's going to continue in the direction of the gap. And that's exactly what happened. So consolidated sideways, and sometimes it can be easy to anticipate this a little too much where, all right, looks like it's going to go higher, fails, looks like it's going to go higher, and then it fails. What I'm really looking for is a very strong, clean break of VWAP, and then I want to see it hold above it. And this is what happened at 934. And I ended up going long right in this area, and I ended up going long at 290 and 25 cents, and my risk was going to be 290 because I figured we get above that VWAP. If we get back below and we break this 290, I felt like that was going to be a fake break above, and then who knows, maybe it could roll back down to the downside. So here's the executions of the actual trade. So went long 934 and 36 seconds as this was an aggressive break of VWAP to the upside, risking off 290, so keeping that risk very tight. If it gets above VWAP and then immediately gets back below, I'm going to bail because then this thing could roll over and I don't want to be a part of that. Ended up getting a good entry, 290.25, and then got a nice move to the upside and took it all out at 291.31 and made 532 bucks on the trade. So that was a good trade to the long side. And I had no idea that this area was going to be the top, but I am a scalper. So I'm always taking profits into strength. If it continues to go a lot further without me, so be it. That's fine. I can always potentially wait for another setup. But you should know by now, after watching a lot of my videos, I am a scalper. When I get those quick moves in my favor, that's where I'm going to take profits. So that was a good setup to the upside. That was the long going in the direction of the overall trend and the gap up. But the really cool thing about VWAP is that these VWAP reversals, they can also set up for the other side as well. So I see a really good potential short on this. And the reason why is because you had the really strong move higher off the open. It looked like it was going to break out. This 292 area was clear resistance. It was not able to even get up to it. And then it started to roll back over. So anybody who bought over VWAP and they're holding their winners, expecting Microsoft to break out, once it breaks below VWAP, so look at this consolidation, it gets to it. And here's an example where even just going short just through it, it has a little bit of a bounce, so it does not follow through pretty quickly. But when there is consolidation, the thing that I like about VWAP is that when it consolidates, a couple minutes of clear consolidation, and then it breaks, it seems to work really well. So that's a good example of it. It comes into VWAP, bounces a little bit, fails to move higher, knowing that it just had the fake breakout to the upside. And then when there is an aggressive break of VWAP, that was the start of the shift in momentum from the upside to the downside. And a good entry around VWAP seems to be good risk reward for a big move. And obviously it's hard to catch the whole move, but just from a scalper's perspective, this is a really good area where the stock can turn, whether it be to the upside or the downside, and there can be some nice momentum opportunities there. And Microsoft was a great example of that today. Not only was there a good long setup, but there was also a good short setup. Now, this is something that I'm incorporating into my trading and I'm finding some good success with it, but don't just take my word for it. Go look on the chart and do some back testing to see if you see something there as well. That's what trading is all about. It's about trying to figure out something that you think works for you, putting in the work, back testing it, and then obviously implementing it with live money to see if that way there's positive results. And if there is, then you can continue to dig deeper. And then if for some reason it doesn't work and the results are really bad, then that means it probably isn't for you and it's time to move on to another strategy. And that's why trading is so hard, because there is a ton of trial and error and it takes a very long time to figure out what's best for each individual trader. So that was the video. I appreciate you watching. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.